fans are still in shock at the news that Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's once strong and loving friendship has ended, leaving a trail of suffering, confusion, and unanswered issues. It will take some time before they fully understand the reasons behind this once inseparable couple's split. More details surfaced, painting a much darker picture of what had actually transpired behind the scenes as Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's divorce continued to dominate headlines. Fans still reeling from the first shock started to demand answers, but sources close to the couple started revealing more details, and what they disclosed was much more complicated and emotional than anybody had imagined. The responses seemed unclear. One of the most startling revelations came from the couple's close friends, who stated that Jim's decision to file for divorce was not the result of a few heated arguments or growing apart. Rather, sources suggested a far deeper betrayal, one that Jim may have years before the divorce was filed. There were rumors that Jim had been in a different relationship that had developed covertly over the last year. No one was aware of this, anticipated, leaving fans and Chrissy perplexed as to how Jim managed to keep such a significant secret. According to someone close to Jim's inner circle, there were murmurs for months, had been seen with someone else, but no one was able to verify it. Chrissy was unaware of this and never thought Jim was seeing someone else. Their bond seemed solid to her, but Jim had moved on. Chrissy had always been the one to fully support Jim, so the idea of his betraying her so badly rocked her life. But now it seemed that her trust had been shattered in the most terrible way imaginable, and Chrissy was devastated to learn that Jim had betrayed her like this after all they had experienced together. He seemed to be looking elsewhere, even though she had given him everything: love, loyalty, and commitment. According to insiders, Chrissy found out about the affair via the media in the most terrible way conceivable. According to one source, Chrissy was taken totally by surprise and had no warning. She had no idea Jim was seeing someone else, so she was shocked when rumors about the relationship started to spread online. Despite all of the chaos, Jim remained mute. According to one source, he refused to comment on the allegations, leaving friends and admirers perplexed as to why he would keep quiet. Jim didn't seem to care that Chrissy deserved to know the truth. He simply stood by and said nothing. As more information became known, Jim's silence contributed to the growing resentment and miscommunication around the split. Fans who had previously admired the couple felt deceived by Jim's refusal to come out and explain his side of the story, while Chrissy's emotional suffering became more obvious. She is distraught and has been depending on her friends for assistance, according to a family member. Friends who were aware of the marriage described her as depressed and unable to deal with the reality of the divorce and affair. She never imagined that would occur, and she thought Jim was the one person she could trust. But suddenly everything has been turned upside down. But although Chrissy was managing her feelings, Jim seemed to be handling the situation differently. Sources claim that he was more focused in his reputation and career than the repercussions of the divorce. According to a close friend, Jim has always been about business and has used the divorce to market his songs, brand, and image. His focus is on how he appears to the public rather than the emotional side of things. This business-first strategy did not sit well with supporters who thought Jim was using the chaos for his own gain, instead of taking responsibility for the suffering he caused Chrissy. Jim's public character changed in the weeks after his divorce announcement, according to his admirers. Was becoming more and more active on social media, posting promotional content for his music and other projects. Although his tweets included beautiful photos and encouraging remarks, there was a clear sense of strain underneath. One fan said, "He's putting on a show," since Jun's usual upbeat manner seemed forced, as if he was trying to distract himself from the emotional anguish of his personal life. We can see through his attempts to convince himself and everyone else that everything is okay. In the meanwhile, Chrissy's social media presence became much quieter. Rather than the large, forceful tweets that her fans had come to expect, she became more reflective, providing mysterious words about love, grief, and moving on. She tweeted, "Sometimes the hardest part is letting go," but the Fortitude fans immediately surmised that these posts were directed at Jim, and many rallied around Chrissy, offering words of love and encouragement. In the middle of the escalating tension, a series of unanticipated events took place. One admirer commented, "She will get over this. She deserves better than what Jimmy did to her." Jim was seen at many public events, and one of them had a picture of him with a woman who many believed to be the woman he had an affair with. The image shocked social media users by drawing comparisons to the new woman. One reader said, "How could he do that to Chrissy right after everything? It seems like he's already moved on." Whether serious or not, the new relationship only served to fan the flames, and many started to question Jim's commitment to the marriage in the first place. The media frenzy reached its climax when Jim was asked directly about his relationship with the lady in question. Jim once again chose to remain silent rather than provide a direct answer, which only made his admirers feel more betrayed. One fan said, "He seems to be hiding something, which makes things worse." He could have at least been truthful. Jim's inability to respond to accusations about his new relationship aroused further questions, and many wondered about his true intentions. Meanwhile, Chrissy continued to concentrate on her own healing process. Those close to her said that she had been going to therapy to help her deal with the hurt of the betrayal and divorce. A close friend adds, "She's doing the best she can, but it's been very challenging for her. She never thought Jim would hurt her in such a manner. It's a hard pill to take." Chrissy pretended to be tough in public, but her loved ones knew how miserable she was. As the months went by, the drama surrounding Jim and Chrissy's divorce became more dramatic, and fans remained enthralled with their story as the emotional wounds from the divorce and the affair would take time to heal. Screens, looking for any new information or hint about what had happened between the once powerful couple. Some fans took to social media to voice their indignation at Jim's behavior, while others offered support for Chrissy in the hopes that she would find happiness again. "We want the truth," a fan said. "We deserve to hear the explanation Jim owes Chrissy." But when the dust settles, one thing became evident. Jim and Chrissy's relationship ended in a way that was much more complicated than anybody had predicted. The affair, as the story developed, the question remained. Would Jim ever acknowledge what had really occurred? The stillness, the emotional toll, all pointed to a far deeper betrayal than fans could have anticipated. Or would he keep hiding behind his public persona? The once strong facade of Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's relationship started to fall apart even further as word of their sudden split spread. Fans who had previously given the couple their full support were now divided as the public's need for answers increased and the arguments surrounding their divorce became more complex as the weeks turned into months. Fans were left wondering about more than just the relationship as they listened. Was this only a mistake, or was there a deeper betrayal that nobody could have predicted? As time went on, more details about Jim's actions throughout the last stages of their relationship emerged. And the truth was much more shocking than anybody had predicted. According to several people close to the marriage, although Chrissy had been steadfastly supportive of him, Jim's estrangement was not a recent development. In fact, it had been a years-long struggle. Jim had progressively started to distance himself from her, both emotionally and psychologically. What started off as little, seemingly unimportant stressful events turned into a complete emotional detachment. According to a person who was close to Jim and Chrissy throughout their relationship, Jim was checked out. Chrissy gave him everything, unconditional love, support, and devotion. But with time, Jim started to change. He wasn't as dedicated to the relationship as Chrissy thought. She saw the change in him, but she didn't want to accept it. She thought it was just a phase. Jim was always under tremendous pressure to be relevant as a prominent figure in the hip-hop scene, and as his career developed, the gaps in their relationship grew. Chrissy had supported him for years through the highs and lows, conflicts with the media, and difficulties of being in the public eye. But as time went on, that tension only grew. Chrissy always believed that their love would endure anything, but Jim's focus shifted more toward his career, and he started to ignore the relationship he had cherished. A close friend of Chrissy said she was unaware that Jim seemed to have just lately started to regard her as a part of his past, and he was not thinking about the future with her. Instead, concentrating more on his fame, brand, and career. He was too focused on his own goals. Despite her reservations, Chrissy tried to maintain their connection, doing all she could to recreate the spark that had made it indestructible. However, it became harder to overlook Jim's emotional absence. She felt as if she was losing the struggle, according to another source. He stopped prioritizing her, and no matter how hard she tried to get his attention, he had already gone too far. He could feel him slipping away, but he didn't want to try anymore. Fans first believed that the split was the consequence of a little disagreement or a straightforward misunderstanding, but it soon became clear that the issues were more serious due to Jim's behavior behind closed doors, which exacerbated accusations of infidelity. Deeper seated. The affair, which had started off as a casual flirtation, had developed into a romantic relationship that Jim had been trying to hide from Chrissy. Sources claim that Jim's new partner was someone he had known for a long time and had been an important part of his social life. But Jim was reluctant to talk about this new relationship in public and tried to keep it a secret for as long as possible. Chrissy was unaware of Jim's new relationship for a considerable amount of time. Jim was always extremely careful to keep his private life quiet, according to a source who informed me she had no clue. The public's perception of Jim started to change as rumors spread and new information emerged. The truth only became apparent after the divorce was finalized. Fans who had people who had previously thought of him as a dynamic, self-assured rapper were now doubting his loyalty and morality, and Jim's silence on the matter added to the growing annoyance. Jim declined to provide an explanation. Rather, he kept posting pictures of himself traveling, having fun, promoting his music, and living his best life, seemingly trying to distract everyone from the increasing stress in his personal life. Behind the scenes, however, things were far from ideal. According to those close to Chrissy, she was struggling with the emotional burden of Jim's betrayal. She was taken aback, a close friend remembers, and the pain of seeing her formerly devoted hubby go so abruptly was heartbreaking. Chrissy was devastated by his betrayal, but she refused to let it define who she was. She took some time for herself and started. Fans of breaking news. The entertainment world is taking notice of the unexpected news about Bombshell that just surfaced online. 20 years into an apparently perfect union, Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin have secretly filed for divorce. You did indeed read it accurately. After experiencing many highs and lows over the years, this power couple has achieved an unanticipated breaking point, and the truth is now being revealed. Many fans are questioning how this could have happened, and many are in complete shock. What specifically went wrong? Chrissy, who used to support Jim no matter what, is now disappointed and shocked. What led to this unexpected split? Is there a major altercation? A betrayal? Or is there something more malevolent that we are yet unaware of? Fans are stunned to learn that the divorce was concealed for months, according to insiders. Long regarded as a devoted spouse, Jim Jones is becoming the center of a media frenzy, casting doubt on Chrissy and their supporters. What led to the breakup of one of the most well-known couples on reality TV? Is there more to the story than what we've been told? Stay tuned as we explore this dramatic split and expose the shocking reality of Jim Jones and Chrissy's covert divorce. The entertainment world has been rocked by the news of Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's sudden divorce, and fans are trying to figure out what's going on. The well-known couple is going through a difficult split after 20 years of dating. However, what was the real cause of this abrupt change in circumstances? Although many fans think Jim and Chrissy made it through the storm, recent disclosures point to a more serious disagreement that was hidden from the public. Everyone is wondering what went wrong. The couple's relationship has been tense for a while, according to those close to them. However,